The mountain seems no more a soulless thing, but rather as a shape of ancient fear, in darkness and the winds of chaos born amid the lordless heavens, thundering, a presence crouched, enormous and austere, before whose feet the mighty waters mourn. George Sterling. This is just one of many quotes in the game Getting Over It. I'm sure many who are on YouTube circa 2017 remember this game quite well. From infuriating people worldwide to the birth of fascinatingly effective speedruns, Getting Over It is well known for its strange design and smooth narration given by the developer. For those who don't remember, Getting Over It is a rage game more or less that came out in October of 2017. It was a very different time of YouTube back then, if memory serves. Content creation was not quite the same as it is now. I personally don't remember the term rage game, though, being popularized until Getting Over It was released on Steam. I, like many others, watched the biggest YouTubers play the game and experienced absolute fury, most notably Markiplier, who broke his chair during his playthrough. And now you may be thinking to yourself, "Non, who cares about this game anymore? It's been 8 years since it came out and you weren't even a YouTuber back then. Why are you playing it now of all times?" To which I have a very simple answer, actually. I thought it wouldn't be that hard of a game, and I thought it would be pretty interesting for a video at the time. Oh, how wrong I was. I've decided to call this video my experience getting over it, because while everyone's account of this game is sure to be different, mine in particular was, well, different. As angry as the game did make me at times, I never was able to stop myself from being fascinated by how it made me feel or think while playing. So without further ado, let's spread our wings and dive right in. I started the same way many have before me, many men and women who likely didn't spend an eternity on the first tree. For those who don't know, Getting Over It is a game where you, a man in a pot, attempt to climb a mountain with just a hammer on hand. And no, you can't leave the pot. Almost right away I was, for lack of a better term, greeted by the narrator / game developer Bennet Foddy himself. For the first few obstacles in the game, he would tell you the inspiration behind getting over it, quote historical figures whenever you fall, and reassure you whenever you fall down, more or less. Which I did a lot, especially on this stupid house coming up. However, as I started to play, I came to a realization only about 20 minutes in. Other games that I've played, and I'm fond of, start you with a basic understanding of the world you be in while playing. This is most commonly done with a tutorial or a cutscene. Getting Over It has neither. You're just a simple man waking up in a pot, with a single tree to start on and a way forward. A tree turns to a hill and suddenly you find yourself at the base of a mountain. Various disconnected objects jutting off the sides, which by now you'll intuitively know are meant to be used to progress. I think my biggest friction zone when just starting out was the fact I never played a game like this. I had no knowledge of similar platforms that you could use to transfer over like an FPS or a battle royale. I simply knew I had to go forward and I had to go up, no matter how difficult. That's not to say there isn't a game like this one. Bennett reminds us early on that Getting Over It is an homage to another game called Sexy Hiking. Even then I had no basis or understanding on how exactly I played the game. At first I was reminded of how I used to feel when I first started playing video games, back when I was around 5 or 6. It wasn't directed, more chaotic than anything else. I'd push a button to see what it did, pull a trigger, flick the joystick randomly. It was more akin to trial and error than a learning curve, and yet it worked. Getting Over It invoked that same feeling. The controls limited it only the mouse moving, and yet that didn't stop me from typing WASD or clicking just to see if it did anything. It didn't, but I was happier knowing despite the anticlimactic result.
Start Sexy Hiking. You're standing next to this dead tree that blocks the way to the entire rest of the game. It might take you an hour to get over that tree, and a lot of people never got past it. Prod and poke at it, exploring the limits of your reach and your strength, trying to find a way up and over. And there's a sense of truth in that lack of compromise.
Yep.
Most obstacles
Listening.
in video game worlds are fake. You can be completely confident in your ability to get through them once you have the correct method or the correct equipment or just by spending enough time. In that sense, every pixelated obstacle in Sexy Hiking is real.
As I continued to climb, I started to get a feeling for how things worked, how far my hammer would extend, how high I could push myself or how far, and the momentum behind swinging from obstacle to obstacle. Bennet himself laments something similar when describing Sexy Hiking. I won't claim that I was good at it, at least not at first, but I learned to be better than I was. Every time I fell or got stuck on an obstacle, there was a sense of anger that would show, or desperation to return to where I had been. More than once I'd find myself cursing a narrator for commenting on my loss of progress, but more than once I was also reminded I wasn't angry at the game itself, or the man that made it. I was more so upset with my failure as a player, or my lack of control over the mouse, and an accidental flick of my wrist sent me flying off an edge. It all slowly made me come to terms with the fact I had very little substance in this game. But slowly, bit by agonizing bit, I got better. Where I had once gotten stuck for minutes on end, now I was able to climb past after only a few tries.
The obstacles in Sexy Hiking are unyielding,
Oh, back to Sexy
and that makes the
Hiking.
game uniquely frustrating. But I'm not sure Jazuo intended to make a frustrating game. The frustration is just essential to the act of climbing, and it's authentic to the process of building a game about climbing. A funny thing happened to me as I was building this mountain. I'd have an idea for a new obstacle, and I'd build it, test it, and it would usually turn out to be unreasonably hard. But I couldn't bring myself to make it easier. It already felt like my inability to get past the new obstacle was my fault as a player rather than as a builder. Imaginary mountains build themselves from our efforts to climb them, and it's our repeated attempts to reach the summit that turns those mountains into something real.
Don't get existential on me. I'm not.
When you're building a
nearly
video game
drunk enough
world,
for that.
you're building with ideas. And that can be like working with quickset cement. You mold your ideas into a certain shape that can be played with, and in the process of playing with them, they begin to harden and set until they're immutable, like rock. And at that point, you can't change the world. Not without breaking it into pieces and starting fresh with new ideas.
Basophobia refers to anyone that suffers from an irrational or insurmountable fear of falling. I'm deathly afraid of falling from nearly any height, even pausing and hesitating when the fall is only a few feet off of where I already am. This is something I found amplified the more I played. Up was the only path I had forwards, and that's the only way I was willing to go. But the threat of taking the tumble back down was always present. It was often I found myself nearly shaking when I reached an edge of any sort or dangled off the ledge of an object, even if the drop itself wasn't that far down. The further you go up this mountain, the more you start to fear the drop because you can't see down. Rarely do you know if you'll fall only a couple minutes worth of progress down, or you'll find yourself at the very beginning all over again. This uncertainty only is kept anchored by the fact you knew falling meant losing progress, no matter how difficult or easy it would be to get it back. The higher up you go, the more Bennet talks. It's not a bad thing, but often jarring since silence is usually interrupted by smooth jazz and narration. While there isn't a direct reason for it, Bennet even informing you that he can be muted at any time in the settings. The more I played, the more it became a sort of goal for me. Sure, falling also prompted him to speak, or play music, maybe quote a historical figure or a modern celebrity. But those lines became almost predictable. The more I climbed, the more I expected him to say something, to interject with some thoughtful speech about the mountain itself or the reason why you're climbing it, maybe the development behind the game. It didn't happen every time, but when it did, I thought the small goal paid off. Not just in the progress I made, but also the lines I'd hear, like fireworks at the end of a parade, or that one verse of a song you really like despite the rest of it being rather bland. Other than the obvious want for me to make this video, I don't know why I was so determined to finish this game. Maybe it was the challenge, or maybe it was just my stubborn nature, but I was sucked in. At least, At first I was. It's not like it would be the first time I played a game for a video only to delete the game and the footage and forget it ever even happened. I've done it a couple times in the past, and my channel reflects that with few videos that are outliers. But in this case, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I simply needed to climb. During the climb, the everlasting ascent or the attempt thereof, I was minded of the tale of Sisyphus. But instead of pushing a boulder up this mountain, my goal was simply to get myself up it. A challenge laid out by gods, recompense for misdeeds done in past lives. How easy it would be to compare my struggles to that man, spare some of my ego, and put myself on par with someone that did so much more. But I couldn't. It wasn't in purgatory, and I wasn't presented with an impossible task laid out by gods themselves. I sat at a desk, staring at a computer screen, hands aching from the movements and eyes sore from the light. But maybe that's what kept me moving. The simple knowledge that I could be doing more, that it should have been doing more. And it was right around here that I finally started to feel lethargic, almost. As if the progress I was making was meaningless, pointless, or wasn't making any at all, or even losing it in some cases. Progressing in this game never truly feels like you're progressing. You get higher, move over or under objects, grip onto things you thought you would never be using to climb a mountain. But nearly the entire time, I never felt like I was getting very far. I didn't have a progress bar. I couldn't see up to the peak or look down to see how far I've come from the start. Whether intentional or not, it feels like you're not supposed to know how far you've gone, how far everything is, or how long you have left until you reach the top. Instead, you just keep on climbing. I was hoping the end was right around the next corner, over the next object or obstacle. But the higher up you go, the more the light starts to diminish, almost. The sun sets, the wind calms, the surroundings feel more muted. It almost started to feel like the world itself was congratulating me, or like the world itself was starting to dim in response to my progress. But the looming threat of falling was still always there. I've already said that the more you go up, the more progress you make, and the more Bennet speaks to you. But I didn't say how it was when you fall. Other than the small comments, quotes, or songs when you first fall, the climb back up is almost completely silent. A quiet climb of shame as you mournfully try to get back to where you had been, or already were going to. It's painful, but it almost feels deserved.
What? No. What? What?
How the fuck am I supposed to? There's no fucking way.
What?
And there we go. Yep.
Oh.
I didn't beat the game. I'm not sure I even could. Every time I fell, or every time I was sent back down to the ground, it was another reminder of how far I managed to get, and even how much longer it would take for me to get back. I wish I could say I got to the end. I beat the odds, overcame uncertainty, and risen above the mountain. But I just can't. Maybe one day I'll return to the cliff's edge, face the fears, lack of reason, and grow beyond who I am now, who I was. and be who I want to be, to succeed, to rise up, to win, and to conquer the inconquerable. But as it stands, I am not, and as far as I can see, I won't be. Call it a wish for death, or you may call it a pull from unknown strings. But to be man is to suffer and to grow from that torment. That one day you may stand before the abyss and hear her sweet call, and it would stare back, an embrace cold and fleeting, yet real all the same. Should you believe in its purity, should you find warmth in the paralyzing scene, only then might you step forward.